Welcome to another conversation with Kylie. Thank you so much for being here today. I'm your host, Kylie Savage Psychic, and today I have with me the lovely Leah Foley. And Leah is joining us from the Northern Rivers of New South Wales, Australia. And Leah is an intuitive healer and coach and a medical intuitive. So thanks for coming along to have a chat with me today, Leah.
Thank you. Thanks for the space and the generosity too. I'm really looking forward to what we're going to talk about, whatever it is that we're going to talk about.
Cool. Thanks. I'm getting shivers already. So we're on the right track.
Uh-oh.
This is going to be a great chat. Okay, so you and I met through a social media group and where I've met so many amazing people. I'm really grateful for that. And we got together on a networking call, a networking event that one of the ladies put together. And we were in the Zoom breakout room and we got to chatting about medical intuition. And that really sparked my interest. And I got so excited because I'm also a medical intuitive, even though I don't, carry that label with me or put it out there. I've worked as a healer, not as much as a psychic, but, along with that. When I first went to mediumship college, they introduced spiritual healing and I got involved there. But it wasn't until I started to find out about Carolyn Mace and read her stories. And I was like, oh my goodness, I do that. That's happened to me. And I'm like, you identify and it humanizes and normalizes the experience. But I have yet to meet many medical intuitives. So I was really interested about that. And then you talked about wanting to integrate holistic healing more with the mainstream medical model. That made me even more excited because I knew a few healers at the time who were doing things like volunteering in cancer treatment ward at the hospital, doing Reiki and spiritual healing. And but for myself too, I have such a fear. I have lots of medical phobias, and I really don't like invasive tests and things like that. And when I started, practicing my medical intuition and seeing what could happen, and just the work I've done, even that's come up in psychic readings where people have come and asked about health questions, seeing operations, seeing medical procedures and new technologies and drugs, and always being able to check in with their medical team, with their doctor and who's going to be there, look after them.
So the question is, did that freak you out watching that versus because you said you had some medical phobias, that actually seeing stuff, does that freak you out?
Yes, it did. I have a really weak stomach too. At first, it really did, and I wasn't very ethical or kind to the people I was working with because I was quite verbal about what I was seeing. But what interested me was, wouldn't it be amazing if we could have medical intuitives, holistic healers, be able to be more accepted and to have more of a prominent position and status, just like the mainstream medical system. And wouldn't it be great that people could have access to all of this, like kind of bringing the East and West together, like bringing all the modalities together to give the people the very best access to the very best healing and treatment. And wouldn't it be so nice if we could avoid all these horrible invasive tests? Or at least if they, we're going to put people through that, make sure they're getting the right test with the right person at the right time.
I think the worst thing for a lot of clients that I get is that they just get test after test after test and they don't really get the answers. And it's not like the doctors are trying their best or, trying to find the answers. It's just, or denying them stuff. They're actually doing all these tests, but unfortunately, they just don't quite get the answer that they need. And and so you can be in limbo for so long. It's quite frustrating and scary
Yes.
for a lot of people too.
Absolutely. And to me, it's just medical intuition, especially, is just such an underutilized, field and ability. And so can you talk to us a little bit more about your work and about healing, the way that you do it? And I know you're qualified in lots of healing modalities, so if you want to touch on those a little bit as well, that would be great.
Okay. How long have we got though? How long is this interview supposed to go for?
This is a short chat.
I'll try to I'll try to do the Reader's Digest version. I will say that my sort of medical intuition came through around 7. Oh my gosh, COVID's just kind of wrecked the last 2 years. 7 years, I think, ago. And what was really lucky, I think, for me was that the medical medium did his book, and he might have done it earlier, but it got really popular not long after that. So that made it really easy for me, because it's like I didn't have to try and convince or explain to someone. Like, he'd already spread that very far and wide, and in the circles that I was in, and it was quite popular there. So like even in some of the groups, there'd be people requesting medical intuitives, which is like something that people didn't do like 10, 15 years ago. It wasn't common it was around. I think Caroline Mice was the first one to coin that term, but it was around like way before that. For me, well, I've been sick since a little baby. So when I was 5 weeks old, I sort of developed all these allergies and eczema and things like that. And so I had memories of seeing acupuncturists when I was 5, and Chinese herbalists. My mum, so I was seeing the medical route, and because allergies actually weren't very not popular. They're not popular. They weren't common those days. So so somehow they found an allergy specialist for me, but then mum was Chinese, so she had lots of access. So I remember crying. You don't remember much when you're young, but you remember when a needle's in front of you. I'm going to put this needle in you, and I'm just like,
oh dear, yeah.
And then it's like, it's not going to hurt. And I think they spent a good 15 minutes trying to convince me to just hop on the table. Anyway, so I did all that, and so it wasn't new to any of that on both sides. And there's people Dad knew that had herbs, so I was trying herbs and everything, and different success rates. But I didn't know what I wanted to do. I was very curious about naturopathy, acupuncture, but it just wasn't true. Like, there wasn't enough drive. But I somehow fell into kinesiology, so that became my first love. And then through the network in the kinesiology, I found more like life coaching, intuition type work. And then there's like, then you try Reiki. Of course, most people have tried a Reiki of some sort. You can download the EFT book for free back then. There was a lot of different things I tried. I can't even remember all the things I tried. Let me massage. Now I've got musculoskeletal therapy diploma. I've just finished functional labs. And that type of health coaching from that, like hormone, microbiome, and that sort of stuff. I don't even know what else I've done. I can't even remember. I'm not going to spend all this time talking about that. But so then I guess the medical intuition particularly formed through blending that intuition life coaching style, which has very strong premises behind it that I follow in my life. And then I had the healing side, and it's like blending those two together naturally. It just sort of happened. And then I do other stuff, like I've developed my own pain unraveling techniques, emotional pain, physical pain, and all that. And I have like a health plan type coaching. So I've got like a matrix and using that to determine things that you want to focus on for your health. So I'm trying to balance healing and health together, to like, you want health foundations and then do healing work together so that you can have a better chance of healing. And then the medical intuition to find out what's going on and get that guidance as well. They're the main things I do. And they're all now stuff I've developed, but now I want to bring the functional labs in as a side thing. Head tissue mineral analysis is a love of mine as well. Anything I can get my hand on, really, based. I think that's the Reader's Digest version. It's like, I'm really interested in healing. I'm not interested in learning them all, but I am interested in finding out about them, because with the network I was talking about, it's like, when you have to understand the whole breadth of holistic healing in order to have a way for them all to work together. So.
Amazing. I have found that, going and talking to lots of healers and even lots of mediums and psychics, we're lifelong learners, most of us. And we really do love, to dive into new and different, healing modalities. Like you say, a lot of people have Reiki. I went and did Reiki because I was like, I couldn't not. And I just kind of wanted that piece of paper. And my friend's a Reiki master, and she wouldn't teach me. She goes, "You just want that piece of paper, don't you?" I said,
Oh.
"Yeah." I thought I was missing out. I had bad FOMO. So not
Oh,
a great experience going and learning Reiki, unfortunately, but it's there, and yeah,
it's
and
there.
now I'm really reverting back to what I was doing before with the Reiki a little bit. And I
Mm.
think healers can be really good at that, integrating, pulling pieces from different modalities into, finding out what really works for them and their clients.
Yeah.
And do you
Yes.
find that too, that like so many healers, they're all on this healing journey themselves?
Um, most of them. Most of them. Yeah.
I mean, we know some people aren't doing it for completely the right reasons, or maybe conscious reasons.
Conscious reasons. Yeah. I mean, most of us are like, because holistic healing isn't the prominent healing concept. Have I said that as diplomatically as I can in our
Yes.
society? Like it's still prominent in some places, like where indigenous cultures are, so like in some African countries and South American countries and maybe Southeast Asia, there's still like the medicine man, or I don't know, medicine woman as well, I guess. Yeah, so that's still around, but it's not so much here. I guess we've got our First Nations people, but that's not really, they're a great minority, and they're not really very accepted in our general society, unfortunately. So we don't get that benefit. And then, yeah, so then what was I saying? Yeah, so it's not prominent. So then usually you would have had something go wrong for you, tried the medical system,
Yeah.
not really got the answers you want
Mm.
or needed, or had a adverse reaction to a medication or whatever was unique to your situation. And then you would have started investigating and alternative, like not alternative, but holistic healing, like the alternative you'll be looking for, and that'd be holistic healing. And so then you would fall into that, and whatever you find that worked for you or gave you benefit, of course, then you'd be like, oh, I'm really interested in this now, maybe I could help other people. That's generally the
Like the
generally the
path into it.
path.
Yeah.
Yeah, generally, not
Okay.
always. And then, like, back when I was seeing an acupuncturist as a 5-year-old, that wasn't a common thing to go see an acupuncturist then. I was lucky because I had that, like, in mum's culture, it's normal. It's normal to go see a herbalist or acupuncturist. It's not unusual. So most of us don't have a role model that went and saw one either. So usually it would be your own health. So maybe that would change, hopefully, in future. Like, it's really boomed in the last 20 or so years. So maybe it wouldn't be like every healer has their own health journey and that's how they got into it. But yeah, I think that most
Yep.
people are.
No, I understand what you're saying there. And, like, that's really important to touch on, that is that those early childhood experiences and the family and cultural experiences and the social cultural experiences really do have an impact on your access to health and
Yeah. And your points of
different
view and
healing.
stuff. Yeah.
I know for myself, when I was first pregnant, I went and saw a naturopath and my doctor, because my father was way into he was Aquarian and he was way ahead of
There you
the
go.
game. We didn't agree on a lot of things, but I definitely trusted his intuition about healing, and his belief that diet had so much to do with healing and what he'd done for himself. And so it felt normal and natural, even though I hadn't been seeing a naturopath before that, to think, well, I wanted to have both, want to have access to both natural therapies and Western medicine. So can you tell us a little bit more about energy work and about medical intuition specifically? Like, what's that experience like for you if when somebody comes and sees you, or how does that fit in with your work?
Yeah, well, usually for the medical intuition particularly, most of the time I get approached because someone's searching for answers, and they have a problem, they have something going on, and so they're usually searching for answers. And I have the way that I usually work is that instead of, so I know I've researched quite a bit about medical intuition, because when I first got it, I was like, oh, like I don't know what other people do. And I'd already knew about Caroline Mace before it came through. So when it came through, I freaked out because I was like, but you're trying to, like, now I'm up against Caroline Mace and Louise Hayes and stuff. So I had a big freak out and had a big swearing match with my guides and stuff. It's like, what are you doing? This is so dangerous. And it's like, I've never had Channel 9 at my doorstep, like or anyone with pitchforks at my doorstep. But that's how it felt like when it first came through, because I was like, what are you trying to do? But so usually they come, and then they usually come with a particular issue that they have. Whereas there's other medical intuitives that might do a scan and just tell you the key areas. And then there's also the different ranges. So like you work with like surgery and things like that. So it's very specific and detailed, and has a heavy body, like understanding or details about the physical body, whereas there's also ones that are more like mind body medicine, which is more like a kind of emotional spiritual concept. So they go your knees out and that means this, and then they talk about all of that.
The metaphysics.
The metaphysics is a good way to put it. So they don't really explain, like, maybe about the medial ligament or the muscles that are attached to the knee or the patella or something like that. They don't really go into that detail. So you've got like this broad range like that. And then you've got like people who are like more just telling you general things versus people who are like trying to help you with a specific issue. And so I've had people ask me, like if they were trying to develop their own, is what they're doing. And I'm like, anything about the body and intuition, that's medical intuition. It's as simple as that. And I've told people that several times. But it's like, but people freak out still because you don't know where the line is until you've done the research, really. Anyway, so so they come, and then I have like this from the pilot trials when it first came through, and I was trying on my friends and just trying to see and explore what this was about. This about 6 or 7 root cause model came through that. That was also when I made peace about the medical system, was through that pilot trials, because sometimes there was guidance to go get surgery, and I'd already like what's the word, disowned anything medical system for a while, because I was deeply in the holistic healing world, and some of them can be very anti the medical system. And so then that's what you pick up, because they're your teachers and your colleagues and everybody believes that, so you kind of take that on. And then I sort of went through that, and it was just like the guidance was like, no, this person, surgery would be really good for him. And I'm like, I would never have said that. Or someone had a UTI and their action was to go eat cake, and I was like, I would never suggest that for someone who has a UTI. But it was like, for her, it was a stress related thing, and she needed to have more joy in her life. So it was like there's a lot of contradictions, and so I started to make peace with the fact that it's not just all holistic, that there's other, the other model, and seeing the benefits of that. And then I use the root cause model, and then there's different things that come through that I like to have a balance between the physical, the life force and energetic, the emotional, the thought beliefs, all of them. And then ultimately, what's the big story going on? Because it's not like you have a problem in your, I don't know, in a gland, and it's just the gland. The gland would have been linked to another gland, or, the liver or something else, or then your stress and your emotions. There's such a story in each person. So I don't really consider that each person who has the same, like say someone comes with a thyroid issue, that they're all going to be blanket the same. There's going to be some of them will be really complex and some will be really simple. I have a webinar I do called about the truth about root causes, and I show some cases of 3 people with headaches and what was under the surface. So I kind of look at it like a root structure under the surface, and the weed is the presentation of the symptoms, but underneath is like, it could be just this simple, I was pulling out weeds today and they were quite new, so it's really easy to just pull them out. Whereas if you've got something with a strong structure, you try and pull it out, you've left all these root bits and they can regrow again. So that's what sort of come through with my style, is that trying to give them the overall picture, and that why you need to do maybe 3 things, not just one thing, because you need to kind of tap the structure at different points to try and crumble the whole system of the symptoms. If you want to look at it like that. It's not quite like that, but I hope that makes sense. Yeah, so that's my, and so with energy work, I don't really do energy work. I don't really do that. I mean, I do like the pain unraveling. I do resistance work, so that's sometimes energetic. I usually, that's a self-healing thing. I'm just guiding the person to find the answers in themselves. And then pain might present, emotions might present, and then we work through that. I don't really do energy work anymore, but in the kinesiology days, so there's 2 types of energy work, especially in my root cause model. Like one of them is kind of energy of your vital life force energy. And a lot of the kinesiology is just balancing the energy, that you're not giving energy. Whereas there's also a spiritual root cause that can be like ancestral, that can be life purpose, calling. And so like with Reiki and things, like you're channeling energy through. So I kind of consider them different, but they're both called the same thing, and they both work. In the end, they all work on the whole system. I hope that makes sense. So that, so with me, I don't really do energy work. And so even just like doing a medical intuition reading, and you would get this with psychic stuff as well, is that words can be really healing as well. So if you say the right thing, it doesn't necessarily completely correct a knee problem, unless the last thing that's needed is like some type of vibrational thing or awareness to just, they've done all this work and it's just the last little thing for them. Whereas like if you've torn the complete ligament, I don't really kind of look at it as if you like, you just do a reading and it will just heal itself. Maybe there'll be 1 or 2 people, that but most general population, we're not really at that level to do that sort of stuff. And I'm not at that level as a healer. So just say something and people just like Jesus
spontaneously heal.
They just like stand up and start dancing with their crutches. That doesn't happen for me.
We don't rule out miracles. We always make room for miracles.
Yes.
I totally get what you're saying.
You go, okay, well, that I don't know what I did, but I'm glad that you're happy and things have resolved for you. But I don't know how that happened versus other people who take a long time to have the shifts. So I hope I answered your question. It was all roundabout.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Sorry, I was just going to have another look at it. So I just, can I slip in one little question about that? Because personally I'm interested. So when you receive medical intuition information, do you get it like clairsentiently or clairvoyantly, or is it your guides talking to you, or do you feel it, hear it? Because I mean, for myself, I can't narrow it down to one thing always.
Yeah, I know where I tend to go, but it really depends on the person I'm working with. So because most of my clients are healers, and I like I do coaching of healers, but then on my healing work, a lot of them are healers too. So they usually come with gifts, and I have a tendency to empath. So I'll start empathing. So whoever I'm working with or having like a deep, intimate conversation with, maybe I'll pick up some of your stuff, but it will go like within an hour or so. I don't have it anymore. I do something where, so like some readings you'll get a lot more verbal stuff, and they're kind of indication that it's like, oh, this person is clairaudient, but clairaudience isn't as common anyway. The clairsentient, that's the feeling one, right? That's the more common one, right? You see that more because people struggle to even recognize that they're getting stuff until they make that connection. I'm more clairsentient, but when I do the readings, I've got 3 different styles. I can't do one of them because COVID, but one of them is you touch the body, and as you're talking, the body will, like, bones will start moving, and things like that.
Do you find bodies talk to you? Because I find they talk to me, like different parts.
I get the answers differently.
I'll get a little voice.
I see. Oh, okay. No, I don't get that actually, but that's interesting. I like that. So you have a chat with the organs and stuff. You can totally do that. You can totally.
I do find that. I think that's what Reiki is good for as well. And healing is, I'm pulled to different parts of the body, and I'll say, this is where the energy is going, and that will unravel. But I do find the medical intuition will come up more if there's a history, there's a story. And if I can bring that awareness up and validate it for someone, and like you say, if that can just unravel a whole piece for somebody, or your spirit actually want to relay a message, or it's something that's really important, or like just different things. But yeah, do you have the X-ray vision of the bodies?
I don't, like, if I'm looking at you, I don't. Like,
Yeah.
I won't see like what bra you're wearing, and I won't see what your liver's doing, or how big or small it is, or whether it's on the right side of the body. I don't really get that. But I do. So my favorite medical intuition technique is this. I get symbols get shown to me, and the symbols are a part of the body, and I have to decipher. So it takes me a good hour to really get the current situation for someone. Like, so I hate it when people write to me, like they don't even know me, they find a medical intuitive and they go, can you tune in for me about this? And I'm like, I don't even know you, and I haven't tapped into your energy, and I'm like, I don't want to give you like a superficial thingy when it takes me a good hour to really get the full story for someone to really serve them. But it's like they make an assumption that it's like, I'll open a textbook and the answer's going to be at the back of it. It doesn't, like, life doesn't work like that. Your health doesn't work like that. It's a lot more your body's like this massive, complex, amazing artwork of biological stuff plus energy stuff all merged together. Like, how are you supposed to anyone that, like, health is really simple on one hand, but on the other hand, like, we have really amazing, complex, intricate vehicle. I call it the vehicle, the body mind vehicle. It's just this amazing thing. Anyway, so that's a side rant. But what was your question?
I was asking about about the X-ray vision.
That's right. Yeah, I don't get that, but I get vision. So what I find is that depends on the client. So I have done some children, like the parents will contact me and their symbols are really childlike, and it's like, oh God, trying to decipher that. And then some people are like really forthright, blunt, pragmatic, realist type people versus like more vague, and the symbols will relate to that. The way the information comes through, some people it's just like really harsh, like full on. I was like, oh, I want to. I'm like, this is not me talking, by the way.
Don't shoot the messenger.
But so I have a belief. Someone did ask me once. She was like, "Where does the information come from?" I don't know, but I was like, I assume that it's your guides talking to my guides who talk through to me. I just assume. But I have had some people like they're asking me what I should do, and my answer to them was just like, go take care of yourself. But it sounded like their grandmother, like it was a very, and actually said their name, and it was almost like a grandmother talking to like, and then it hit them the way that I said it, and I was like, oh, okay. It was what she needed to just take the action, and she resolved her headaches really quickly after that, but she just needed that forthright. And I think she might also be clairaudient, and that's why it came, because it was a very verbal thing versus other people, like they're kind of spacey and the information's kind of spacey. That's how I see it. That's how I think. But yeah, I don't really see, like, I don't walk around and everyone's just walking bones and muscles. I don't.
No.
And I don't walk around going, this person's thinking about this and stuff. It's just like, I'm intuitive. I'm not like psychic, and also I'm not that interested in what you're thinking on a daily basis, because it's all just junk going through our minds anyway. So unless you got your credit card details and that benefits me in some way, there's still a legal system in the physical world. So anyway, I don't get that. Do you see X-ray? I know people who do.
So same thing. So have lots of boundaries around, people do, they make assumptions about you. And when you're a psychic, they say, oh, can you tell me this? And you're just walking around getting information all the time. You go, no way, my head would explode. And I think that's what contributed to a lot of instability and didn't help my health at all when I was younger. But once I learnt more about boundaries. But so when my first sort of experience of seeing it that I can remember, it's being at Mediumship College and putting my hands in front of this lady's knees and just being able to see straight through into the bone and the muscle and everything, and seeing I see it symbolically as well. So I'll see pain as red, or I'll see
Oh,
red and
okay.
blue as circulatory system, and yellow and white for me is lymphatic. And so
Well, like the
I
textbooks, the red and blue
yes,
on the textbooks.
yeah.
Okay.
So I feel like that spirit will utilize any file
Mm.
in your head they can, any
Yeah.
knowledge you have. But yeah. So then I try not to see sometimes, but if I'm drawn to a place, I'll say, well, show me. And it's not as like it's a lot more subtle. And that's what I find with all my abilities. They become more subtle over time.
Mm.
Spirit doesn't have to work as hard to get your attention and to get the message across. But yeah, that was quite interesting. But and I think that, understanding, like seeing the layers. So for me, like energy medicine is connecting with someone's energy and their aura, seeing the energy move through the body and feel it and everything, but also being able to channel it or direct it or support it,
Yeah.
and for me, I see just the body's a self-healing system.
Mm.
So you're not there actually actively doing anything really to it. You just facilitate that universal energy, anything that can come in and support that person and help
Mm.
them. But yeah, some interesting stuff. And I relate a lot to what you say as well. Like, we really cross some fine lines. But I will just ask you, as we wrap up, it, the thing that you're working on at the moment, the project which you've mentioned to me and I found out about, is the Collaborative Healers Network. Did I
Mm.
say it correctly? And
That's the name for now. That's
for
the name for
now,
now.
no
Yeah.
worries, that could change. And that's looking at, you said you were doing like interviews with people, and that you saw that before we can move into some sort of structural, foundational, institutional organization to support holistic healers to be integrated more into the medical mainstream system or something like that. I think
Something
it's
like that.
about
Yes.
elevating our
Yes.
status too, isn't it?
Yeah, very much
Um,
so. Very much so.
you saw that the healers themselves really need a supportive network. And
Yeah.
could you tell us more about this and about your ideas and your vision for it?
Yeah, I have visions, and I'm also kind of
Mm.
open for it to morph and change, because at the moment it's just me. So when people come in and energies blend, and yeah, when we merge our fields by coming together, things change. It's kind of like, I was writing about that recently, that it's kind of like, I don't look at healing as it's like something disappears. It's more like the right pieces come together. It's not like the client does the healing or the practitioner does the healing. It's just like the right pieces come together, and that might be through the client or through the practitioner or through some other means, because there are some weird spontaneous things that happen. Usually you've got intention on some level somewhere, but yeah, they all come together and healing happens. And I kind of see that with the network all coming together. Like, you get the right people together, and the more that you get together, the more threads about reality you get. Like, you can see, like, when people have arguments and debates about certain things, but you've got all these different threads going on. But if there's a way to bring them together, you get the whole picture, rather than this person's right, this person's wrong, which is I was thinking about that this morning, about how this argument, when two people are in an argument, and it may not be both of them are wrong or right, but they're both right on some level, but it's them coming together and finding that greater truth. It's the whole truth. So the more healers I see in my vision, the better holistic peace and truth come through that. My vision is that my ultimate vision is that it is elevated. Like, so it's kind of like the medical system is the primary thing, and I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing that it exists, right? Like, it's just more that,
Definitely.
but they have this concept, and they have very black and white concepts, which is how their model works. And it's not necessarily wrong. It's just they're very dedicated to certainty, I think, is the best way to put it. And then you got holistic healing, which is kind of like this this little, I think that's the bottom of my screen. I don't know what it looks like to you, but there's like this little thing rearing its head, this little thing in the underground. It's definitely more prominent now, but it's like, I hear a lot of healers going, well, they should accept us and stuff. But it's like, well, sometimes you need to make a stand for like the respect that you're going to receive. and you elevate yourself, and it's just natural that others will adjust around you. That's a whole other conversation, but anyway, so I kind of see that at some level they would be equal. I don't know if it would happen in my lifetime, but I would like to contribute something in my life now that would help that. I see there's a lot of healer groups around. A lot of them are anti-pharma, like anti-big pharma. Not really interested so much in that. I'm not saying that doesn't exist to some extent, but it's like I don't really want to focus on some massive organization that we're going to fight against. It's like you just offer more and more of what you've got, and people will start being magnetized to that. But I also see groups where it's like associations where they just throw modalities together, but the modalities have no cross referral system, no understanding of what each other does and how that relates to from a client-centric model, where because like I've had some clients kind of like they feel a bit guilty that they're seeing another healer on the side, and I'm like, that's great. And they go, oh, okay. And it's like, why should all of your healing needs come onto me? If you had like a team of healers, you're getting supported. If I can't handle something or I'm having a crisis in my life, you don't have that support completely crumbled. Why is it? I don't know why they feel like they're confessing to me when they tell me, and I go, oh, that's great. And they go, oh, I've been keeping it secret. I'm like, why? But anyway, it's funny that. But yeah, so it's like so these associations where they throw modalities together usually just focus on insurance, and that's it. Which is fine, because we need that in the current legal system network, or at least in Australia. From what I've started to gather in other places, it's not the same as Australia. But yeah, so then it's like we're not really finding a way of how does that work? How's the best healing for the client? How can you determine that? I don't have all the answers to this, but this is kind of where I see the real holes in our current health system as a greater whole. And then it's like, well, how can the holistic healers cross refer? Like in the medical system, they've got amazing ability to cross refer, and they have a very consolidated point of view, which is good and could be detrimental, but I can't fault them at all for their consolidation. They're very good at that. And so then it's like there's always another specialist that they can see. There's always and based on what's happening. But the thing with the medical system is that like the blood test is a great example, right? They've got certain parameters that they test for, but they widen the range of what they consider okay and not okay. What they're trying to do is capture disease and have a guarantee that that person has a disease, which is fine for that model. But there's a lot of people, that's not the healthy range. The healthy range is here. And there's these gray areas in between where some people are having symptoms. There's also people who are outside of the range, but they're very small. So there's this gray area, and that's where I see holistic healing. It's more like a well-being. It's more like a lifestyle. That's where our support is best. Preventative type work. That's where our work is best. We're not here for emergencies. If someone breaks an arm, go to the emergency room, get a cast. If you're like on death's door, there's going to be a lesser chance for any holistic healing to help you. You probably need like this full-on support and crutch until you can get to a level of stability. And then if you want to move out of that, that's where holistic healing would come. That's how I kind of see it. So I don't see that there's any boundary crosses. And then we also don't know how, there are some healers that are very good at referring back to the medical system, but a lot of us don't understand that fully. It's not really, we're not trained in that. So we don't even have an interface between them. But before we interface, we have to interface ourselves. And that would actually build trust for the medical system. I'm not saying that this network may do that, but I'd like this network to be the concept, the seed that the plant can grow, at least in its early days. And then who knows, I'm fine with things. I can't do this alone for sure. But I don't think anyone's conceptualized. So even in our holistic healing field, I know people aren't rude to each other, but there is a feeling like a competitiveness in a way,
Yeah.
like, oh, my modality is the best modality. And it's like there's multiple roads that lead to Rome, like there's multiple paths for healing.
And like
And then
people have different biases and
yes,
things that they really stick to and that have worked for them. But yeah, you don't see a lot of cohesiveness even just in the field.
Yeah, there's some people that do. I have seen some. They're a rarity. They're a rarity, and I don't even know myself. Like, I haven't built up a network on, like, because I have cross referred before, and then I find out through the client later that they only do packages, and it was a major package, whereas I only needed a couple of sessions, and or they didn't gel with that person. And so, I mean, that's kind of, you need to make mistakes to learn, but if you get to really know some people, and so like you might have two people that work with weight loss, and one person's really blunt and one person's really soft, and then you can go, well, you need someone blunt.
Yes. Yeah.
And I think you gel with this person, and I think you're really sensitive, and you need like a lot of nurturing for self-love and things like that. So this person, and there'll be people that are okay with both, but so that sort of stuff.
No, having a community and coming together more and being able to have forums like being able to have meetings and talk and get to know people more about what they do and how they do it, and being able to refer people would be great, because I even find that in my work, I think, who could I send this person to, or what and I don't like to refer anybody who I haven't had a personal experience with or don't have a good connection with. I don't want to send somebody out that way.
And then you don't know the price too, so sometimes you're like, you don't know if that person charges $500 versus $100. Definitely. And then so there's that, and then on top of that, I'm seeing one of the big holes I see is that healers don't come together and just have general discussions about troubles that you're having.
Yes, that you need the support, don't you? And that, like, even especially when you're beginning, knowing things about like ethics and professionalism and business, how to set yourself up in business, and but just it's even if you're you could be maybe an intuitive counselor and things like that, but therapists always have to have somebody monitoring them and someone they can fall back with who guides them. And yet healers, we just seem to be like psychics and mediums that too, we just seem to be such solitary business people out there on our own, you could have a really, especially like working with healing clients, you could have a really difficult thing. Sometimes we have people come to us who are terminally ill, or they've been given a diagnosis of a terminal illness, and you need someone to be able to, in a confidential way, unpack it with and say, well, this is how I'm feeling. And you need to know how to look after yourself and not, how to like process that. Like I have something
how to deal with conflicts with clients and that sort of stuff. There's the big thing with that.
Care with detachment. So you don't take, because I think as well, so many healers are so empathic and compassionate people that they do absorb and they do take things on, and they don't know how that can have an impact on their own health. But I'm so excited for this. I'm really happy that you're doing it. I think you, like you say, you can't do it on your own, but I think you are a terrific person to be doing something like this. And I know that you're going to engender a lot of trust and faith in people and give them the right sort of support and guidance they need, because you've got so much experience. And I'd say just that those natural, qualities of being, trustworthy and honest and upfront, and good leadership skills. I can see it all there.
Oh, thank you. I'm just like receiving all this lovely. Thank you.
It's the time for it. We're moving more and more into, and I've seen that in mine, where community, I keep saying community is how we heal. It's that collaboration, connection, and understanding that we're not doing any of this alone. Spirit definitely collaborate with us, and all, about cooperation. So this is definitely the time for something like your network.
It feels like it. It feels like it. It's also a very muddy time at the moment as well, which is perfect.
Yeah, we need the clear voices. We need
you need to till the soil.
So,
exactly. And so the soil's kind of ready. This idea was a few years back, but
Mhm.
it's time. It's just time.
Absolutely. All right. So if people want to get in touch with you, Leah, and they want to work with you, I did see on your lovely website you've got quite a few packages. But if they're not sure what's right for them, are they able to have a chat with you,
Yes.
or send you an email? What's the best way to do that?
Yeah, you can squeeze the site. I try to be as transparent as possible. I do need to make, since this Collaborative Healers Network is new, I'm going to make a new page somewhere on the site, find the rejig or the web page. But yeah, generally all the services are there, and there's a 30-minute free chat for especially the medical intuition, but just to hear what's going on, because it's like, until I know, I can't really give advice on, or like guidance on what would be the best package. And invoke.spirit@gmail.com is my email. Just people write to me often, just an email, and then I can, once I hear your story a little bit, I can go, okay, well, this is what I suggest. And would you be interested in that, and have a chat with them? That's about it.
Good.
And the website is invokespirit.com, and I'll have all the info there. Most of it's up to date. So.
And you're also on social media.
Yes, I don't know what my biz page is, but it's Invoke Spirit, and then in brackets Leah Foley. And I try to whenever I get downloads, I like to write it out. I love to write the little posts, and I learn a lot from the downloads and whatever I can give on from that. I think they're the main places.
Cool. No, I've really enjoyed reading some of your posts. I like, and you can sort of hear that, like when you're reading it, you think, oh, this is her train of thought. This is where this is coming in. And
some of them are a little bit like birthing a baby, and then other ones just like pop through, and it's like, oh, post that. And other ones I'm like stuck on for days, and I go, what's the insight in this? And then eventually, well, I get the shift and I can write it onwards.
No, I find that, you've really just, they're very thought provoking. Like they're very different to some of the blog posts you see, and I think it makes me think about things in a different way.
Okay, that's
but I like how
Thank
it's
you.
not, you're not, just saying I'm the authority on this and this is what you've got to think, or venting or anything like that. I like that. It's just really sort of, this is the flow. I like that. Where are you taking me?
Oh, thanks. That's great feedback. I think it's really important. This is a random concept, but we talk about boundaries on a physical sense, and people get not to just grope someone and things like that. But it's the same with mental, and I don't see much of it at the moment on social media, but it's like, you don't tell someone how to think. You can give suggestions, and they can percolate different suggestions and decide for themselves, but you can give information, but it's up for the person. And so there's this lack of mental boundaries, especially at the moment. I'm seeing it like, this is what I believe, and it's not that what they believe is wrong, but it's just one thread of a greater. So it's like bringing all the threads together, and you get to choose what thread you want to think at, and you can change that later. Like you can change your mind, but the mental boundary thing is finding it really gets my goat. I mean, that's the most diplomatic way. It's like, why are not people doing it? Like you can't grope someone. How can you push your thoughts onto someone? But you can make suggestions, and people can choose to have a taste of that. I like that.
I think it's so much more about if we're really conscious about what we're putting out there, our information, and we invite people, into that space to interact rather than alienate them. We don't need more division. We really don't.
And that's another great point, is like, I don't see why people can't have differing opinions and be inclusive. Like that's another thing for the network, where I want people to have different opinions, and we can just sit with that different opinion. We might come up with a higher opinion through that, or maybe not. Like there are difference, and we can, it's like, I always think back in when India divided from Pakistan, and they had like 3 different religions that were fine living together. I'm assuming they were fine until one day they weren't. And then there was this whole massacre that happened and had to split the countries. It's like, why can't people have different belief systems? Why does everyone have to agree with you? And how boring would life be if you got these yes men everywhere, yes women. So that's a great point as well. It's like you don't have to be divided just because you have different opinions.
Absolutely. I'm going to leave that as your last thought.
Yes.
And I'm going to say thank you so much. I
you.
really loved having this chat with you, Leah. So, yeah, if you're interested in anything we've talked about today, you'd like to find out more about Leah, definitely I'll pop her links in the show notes. But definitely get in touch with her. And if you would like to be a guest yourself on Conversations with Kylie or recommend a guest, I've put my email in the show note as well. So yeah, hopefully we'll get in a few more conversations for the end of the year, and then we'll pick it up again in the new year. And yeah, if you have any suggestions or feedback or comments, I'd really love to hear that too. So thank you again. My guest has been Leah Foley, and I've invoked spirit, and thank you for watching.
Thanks, Kylie. Always love chatting with you.
No worries. Thank you.